Welcome back to Division 7, everybody. It is meme team time. On the left side, 500 MS on Battlefield of Eternity in game number 1 against Team SaW. They have like subtleness, weightlessness, like some weird name, and we just abbreviated the whole things because weather. Because I can't be bothered. To the left side, Drug4 on Medivh, Amphethys on Rhaegar, Danger Flame on Phoenix, and he missed on Liming, Snazzy Penguin. Gonna be snazzy again today. And on the right side, for Team SaW, we have Kale on Thrall, Couscous on Jaina. Sounds more and more like we're going to have a main dinner here, out for lunch today. Bogdoga on Anubarak, that could be a wine, I don't know. Pilu on LiLi, and Manawen on Junkrat. Sounds all Spanish or French to me, and also sounds pretty yummy, so I'm actually hungry right now. Jaina going full snowflake here. Well, maybe not quite, but she is lady with a heart of ice, as she just showed with the mount there. I'm honestly not quite sure if I can completely live through casting this series right now. The more I watch these players, the more hungry I get. I mean, look at these names. This is actually becoming a bit of an issue. Either way, we have LiLi, the little panda, is on a mission here today. We have no trash lightning. In this case, we're actually not seeing another solo laner topside, so Thrall has to take over the job and can't join the 4-man. So decides that it's not really the game to go for the stacks, well, outside of stacking Echo of Elements, of course. We're still seeing Li Ming on the side of the blue team, so they definitely have the poke available for the objective, and they can burn down Anubarak's cocoon pretty quickly with a disintegrate later. I'm actually quite happy again after casting so much Gold League to first of all control the camera once more, and second of all having an opportunity to see the stacks the entire time. That old Blizzard UI definitely has its downsides, doesn't it? LiLi, by the way, going into the Wind Serpent, so we're gonna, at least for the time being, see a full Serpent focus on the build here. We're also having the adjustment of Li Ming with a Force Armor on level 1. Really playing around a lot of the region globes here. Obviously, this is one of the maps where you kinda need to be a little bit careful on how much you actually get out of the region globes. But yeah, with that, we're actually having now down to the bottom of the map. We're having the setup here with Manawen and Pilu. We're having Couscous there as well, trying to set something up around Anubarak's dive in with a stun, and having then the follow-up from Jaina, trying of course to get the burst damage out of this one. At the top side, in the meantime, we have Danger Flame trying to play around the shield mechanic. This is one of the few ranged heroes that has a fantastic time on the offlane, because what you want from your offlaner is self-sustain, and you always want him to be in a position where you can actually, outside of the self-sustain, also have the wave clear. And Phoenix has all of that. He doesn't really have the hit point self-sustain, but he can play around the shield mechanic, and that's exactly what Phoenix is doing there. The problem that you oftentimes have is then later on in the game when you're not relying on a second melee hero, so that is a little bit of an issue. And you have to kind of figure out, okay, can we play around that, yes or no? That's where Medivh comes into play, at least to an extent. So we'll see if they can make that play. Having Medivh in the game, by the way, is now also meaning that we have in the Arcane Rift 21 stacks, so he's going to try and complete the baseline here for as much as he can. Meantime, the Immortal, the first one, is spawning. Thrall currently hasn't completed his quest yet on level 1. That's one of the more important things here too, because if he completes that super early around the first objective, then he has so much more danger potential here with the poke that he found. Oh my god, 4-man stun by Anubarak. Went a bit deep for this one, might still get out of it, but holy cow, the bite. And Drug4 gets away with 70 HP, 22 stacks on his baseline. Yeah, that would have sucked for him if he actually dies there. But damn, that last bite with the bug. And the Wolf Run allowed him to get all of that through, to be honest with you. It's a massive commitment actually down here at the bot lane. It's a little bit weird too. It's like a full defense. Phoenix is about to push out the top lane and has actually pushed an additional wave out, but they might lose Johanna as a result. The Snazzy Penguin! Not so snazzy right now. Goes down, but leaves a lot of damage from Annie as he's trying to get his combos through. But they are a little bit in a weird spot now, because despite the fact that they were trying to set up a massive defense around this, it didn't work out for them. There was a 5-man commitment. So what we saw from the red team is sacrificing a top wave, but instead still able to win the entire halftime show. Nobody has made a move over for this one. And that's a little bit weird here. They have some potential for the objective themselves. But to be fair, this isn't traditional comp necessarily from 500 MS that you would see on this map. There's no Tyrande on that side. They still have the Li Ming, but there's also no Hanzo. And there's definitely a bit of a lack of immortal clear when you compare it to what we're having on the other side, with especially, of course, the burst around Jaina. Talking about burst, Nuburak is down. There's the kill, but the objective has been taken. Oh, Li Ming with the resets, and the wolf! Oh, he gets the kill too. It's a full 4-man drop, but Rhaegar has fallen as the fort on the way out has taken him down here. Any run of mana didn't help the cause either, but obviously the big problem is still the Immortal at the top lane that is pushing through that right here. That is 100% shields. I mean, the saving grace for them is that it's actually still very early in the game, so it hasn't really scaled properly. So it's unlikely that they're going to get too much damage with it, but just imagine that Immortal with a 5-man push, that would have definitely resulted in a fort already falling, but as it stands, it breaks through the wall, drops the second turret, but I don't really think that they can hope to eliminate the fort itself. Now Li Ming is of course at level 7 right now, and with Calamity she can do a lot more here. We're also having, again, the commitment from the red team as they're looking to dive in. I'm honestly a little bit weirded out by the fact that they chose LiLi for this. I really don't know why LiLi is the choice. If they are already playing around the Jaina and Nuburak setup, just imagine what a Tyrande or Malfurion would have been doing for them. But again, it's Division 7, so this is usually from a skill level perspective. It's a bronze until gold. And then we have the kills against the Nuburak, and Rhaegar dies again. Typical Rhaegar problems, actually, going straight into very aggressive plays, especially with Wolf Run and Blood and Thunder. Haven't seen that in a hot minute. No cleanse right now against Nuburak. Now, I'm not quite sure what I think about that. It's always a little bit of a weird setup, because on the one hand, if you have a support player that just says, alright guys, I admit it, I suck, then him not picking cleanse might be a good thing, because if he is just too bad to get good cleanses out, or halfway decent cleanses, then he's not going to get any value out of the level 7 talent. But obviously that's something that you should mitigate as quickly as you can and make sure that you learn how to set cleanse up, because yeah, cleanse is an insane ability. That was an interesting portal, and it nearly drops LiLi, but not quite. Drugfo, on the other hand, is playing with his baseline. Now there's a hit on 39, one more and he's done with it. So then he can finally play a little bit more relieved from the pressure that he's currently experiencing here. But yeah, the talent choices on Rhaegar are definitely curious ones. But he's playing a pretty aggressive game, and it led to a kill earlier. But he couldn't really get anything done in the last fight, and there died himself. This is a typical Rhaegar player, why Blizzard took the self-ancestral away from the hero a long time ago, and then brought it back, of course, because you had those Rhaegar players that were just hyper-aggressive, jumping in the entire time, and then ancestraling themselves, and then being super wild about it. And yeah, there we have it. I am expecting big things to happen from Amethyst here. But now the objective is on the map again, and level 10 should be in the hands of both teams in the moment. There's a salvo. Li Ming is teasing us a little bit. Looks like Li Ming is waiting to see if Cocoon is being played by Nuburak, and yes, indeed, he picks the the Cocoon, and now we should see this Intergate come out. This is not a way for force play. If you go up against the Nuburak, Cocoon is the name of the game. Now there's one stun, there's two stuns, and that should be a dead Rhaegar, but instead it's a ley line setup, and a good one at that, as they're trying to go in. Quest completed for Medivh, and the laser show as the ring doesn't really get a lot of value here. That Jaina falls, and here comes the ult. That's a little bit of a late commitment to that. Yeah, turn around, and the dog is dead again. Can they get the counter kill though? Yes, they can. Oh, the attempt to drop any miss with the Junkrat Reptile, that didn't work out, but the show still continues. Li Ming goes down, and they're trying to make the chase happen against Phoenix. Jesus, everybody dead and dying in this game. I mean, it's all over the place. 9 kills against 5 now. The top lane is about to fall here as we're getting mad value from that particular camp. It's so close to dying here. And they're not going for the Immortal at all. I mean, every time the objective comes up, the two teams are just saying, you know what? It's time to brawl in the middle of the map right now. So, yeah. Objective? Who needs an objective? We're gonna brawl now, boys. Okay, Couscous is already starting to drop some damage down at the bottom now. In terms of heroic abilities, Cocoon is still up, so is the Ancestral, so is the Blessed Shield, by the way, and Ernie might be looking for it. Blessed Shield gets thrown out right away. There's no follow-up though. There's definitely a lack of coordination. I mean, a lot of these setups that we're seeing, ooh, the dog is again all the way up at the front, gets stunned once. Ah, and the ley line is there again. I love how everybody just presses R. It's honestly, there's not really a lot of synergy around the talents. Everybody just presses R when it's ready. That's a nice burn on the Cocoon though. But just seriously, just talking about this for a second, if you actually have ley lines like this, that's when you want to follow it up with a good condemn. You want to wait with your Blessed Shield until you're certain that someone is going to follow that up with either the Salvo on Phoenix, and the same goes for the other team. If you get stuns like this, nicely done this time actually with the Blizzard, you want to wait until the stun is in, then set the Blizzard up. You want to do the same thing with the Ring of Frost to make sure that you're just not throwing out cooldowns and hoping that some of it sticks. It's a shotgun principle that's being used here quite a bit, where teams are just throwing out abilities and hoping that some of the damage is going to stick eventually. Doga is already starting to move on, but look at that choke point value that you could get here if you have a dive in here and then Jaina follows it up. I mean, either way, the blue team is now far behind when it comes to the objective. The problem is that everybody on the other team has now started to move far back to the fountain, and they're losing the entire advantage that they just worked for so hard. And they're not able, well, maybe they're able to win it after all. It's definitely not that big win that they were hoping for here. So yeah, it is the red team that wins another Immortal. At this point, Junkrat could also just literally move up and drop a grenade or two here. Just coming over here, drop 2 and take that down. The rest of the team is now moving to the bottom to push with the Immortal as we're having it move through the bot lane. Heroic abilities are coming back up once again. And Couscous, ooh, yeah, that was a panic ring right there. Way too far out. I mean, literally in front of everyone else as that attack comes in, and then as Jaina's about to die, she just quickly presses R in hopes that someone just runs into it and dies. And that's not really happening here. So now you have also the ring gone for another 60 seconds. That Riptire, on the other hand, is getting a bit of value. If they can lock down the dog, he might die again. Ford at the top lane at least has been eliminated by Thrall, so it's not like they didn't get anything out of it. They're still getting some damage at the bottom of the map, which could eventually and should eventually lead into a drop on this fort too. Because Thrall is starting to move straight to the top lane again, trying to take a camp. 28,000 damage by now on the side of Junkrat. Bottom of the map, that's where we're currently seeing a camp taken too. You need to coordinate a couple of these plays a little bit more, but outside of that, there's definitely some value to be had from the synergy on those sides. Again, when I look towards the red team, the one thing that's really bothering me a little bit is that LiLi pick. LiLi is unfortunately for her right now in a spot where you don't pick LiLi. You pick LiLi if you are just, if you want to get the, hey, I put a mini weight on my Q button and then I run around by right click by holding down the right button on my mouse. That's pretty much what LiLi is currently like in most of the cases. But if you actually want to complement the build that you have with the Anubarak and Jaina setup, then you're definitely going instead of LiLi into Malfurion or into Tyrande, anything like that. Yeah, that's not working. You're dead, dude. I'm not quite sure how to tell you that, but that's not working. That was a nice attempt at getting warped, but you just warped into 4 heroes. So the good rotation, a little bit late reaction from Phoenix there. The fort falls. Yeah, it was a 5-man commitment there for the kill, and then they get Phoenix easy peasy. So, yeah. Now, with level 13 talents, we have Rhaegar going into the Earth Shield. Makes it a bit easier for him to get the Ancestor through. Talking Rhaegar. Anubarak stuns Rhaegar, the Sun Ring goes into the empty space where he would have moved, and then after that, when Rhaegar is basically dead already, Jaina just says, you know what, let's throw the ring out just for the lulz. Oh, you gotta love that play. I mean, that was, we're talking about better safe than sorry quite a bit, but holy shit, they just dropped the cooldown there. Yeah, and in the meantime, they're making the play for this one. Massive mortal stun value, by the way, against Ernie. But they're raising this down easily. So that's a win. But they could have zoned them out on the left side a little bit more aggressively too. Now keep this camp at the bottom in mind. This could actually do a lot of work to the keep. But yeah, now it's a bit of a defensive position for the blue team. As we're moving in again. Cooldowns, there's a couple ready. We are definitely getting now the beetle value here as well. There's nobody at the top fighting for it. Nubarak moves into the stun though. There's the Reptire and damage, but the salvo! And the double kill with the salvo here right away. Bot lane still pressuring, but that is eventually going to fall here. So they send someone over. There's still a bit of a poke happening. Yep, there we go. Kuskus needs to move out of the stun. That blinding Jaina doesn't do really a lot for you, to be honest. And they're trying to make the play for it. Here comes even the Cocoon against Johanna, just to be on the safe side, and they're gonna win this one. This is the 3rd Immortal in a row that they win. There's the lane line, but again, it's just a cooldown used for no reason. There's no follow-up. There was no reason to use the ley line to delay them because they already had the Immortal. If you use the ley line here, you want someone to follow it up with, and that can be Johanna with a Blessed Shield, with a Condemn, with anything, but they didn't have any of that there. So yeah, use of cooldowns should normally have a reason. That should be timed. It should really have value. So there's an Immortal at the top lane, and there's a push at the bottom of the map as they're trying to pressure both of the keeps. I actually like that decision. Since they had 2 heroes down, makes a little bit more sense. So they're trying to get some value here, and they have a lot of poke. Yeah, Jaina's running ahead again. Kuskus, you need to be careful. You're behind those 2 guys. Now, they need to wait for their own minion wave, and the Immortal obviously gets burned at the top, so if they want to really get value with it, they need to be a little bit quicker with that. Burn the minion wave down, push in with the Nubarak, try and create a couple of beetles. And again, just throwing the ring out doesn't help you. You wait for the stun, and then you go for the ring. That's an interrupt there against, or an attempt to go for Phoenix, but now they didn't really get a whole lot out of this. So yeah, Jaina needs to, first of all, not frontline it that hard, and then second of all, wait for the engage to happen around the damage, well, the frontliners that have the CC, and then follow it up with that. Chattering teeth are coming in, right? Rhaegar is in a bit of a trouble. There's also, by the way, now the epicenter. We have Alpha Wolf taken, not quite sure why necessarily. There's the ley line again, this time maybe with a follow-up. Yep, there's the Blessed Shield. Now we're talking, baby. Alright, they get 1 kill. Could even get the other. Li Ming kind of stunning herself here by using the disintegrate for the 2nd time without moving forward. Could have maybe just used the teleport there and move forward a little bit to at least tickle them with the disintegrate and try and get that. But didn't see it. Did Rhaegar, by the way, use Ancestrals? I haven't really seen a lot of the Ancestrals yet, but I gotta admit that I might have missed them during the fights. So I'm not 100% certain on that front. But yeah. Here comes the attack. That's actually a pretty ballsy approach there. Well, Jaina's still at the bot lane, so it's a 5 versus 3. Here comes the burn against the Cocoon. That's already value, but Rhaegar, okay, Ancestrals himself here. LiLi comes in with the ult as well. Camp is about to be taken away. But Jaina's now moving in too. Has the ring up, by the way, just saying. And uses that, and this time actually hits a little bit. But Kuskus is again just frontlining it here. The Jaina flank as it comes in against 5 with the ring. Now again, you can use the Sundering to set the ring up, you can use a Nubarak to set the ring up. There's a lot you can do with that to just try and get a lot of ring value, but so far it's not happening. And Jaina dying here is a bigger problem than the camp being taken. The camp moves to the top lane anyways, so you can literally just defend it in between the 2. But now they have to give up the halftime show here pretty much. I like the idea to at least go for the camp. They could have tried to maybe defend a bit with 4 and just poke from a distance, but they don't have a lot there. Junkrat can at least make that play. But now once Jaina is back, they need to set something up around it. So the rings definitely keep coming. We have also a few more adjustments, by the way, on the level 16 talents. I mean, at this point we have the Hunger of the Wolf taken for Rhaegar. Now, traditionally you would see a Colossal Totem and Earthgrasp Totem on level 1 and on level 16, right? There's the ley line. And again, no follow-up on that. Talking follow-ups, there come the stuns. They're trying to go for Dragwalk. Kun is on against Li Ming. And now they can, with the stun, lock her down. Nothing of that happening either, but they're going for the dog, and the dog is down. Nearly the kill. And again, the epicenter value, and the kill against Li Ming. The red team with more value here, and they're actually also getting the drop against Johanna. The red team definitely coordinating a lot of the attacks a little bit more. I still want to see Jaina to follow up on those stuns too. But what they could definitely try and do a little bit better is not run into these stuns this much. That would definitely help their cause a bit. It's actually crazy if you think about it. I mean, these guys have taken 3 immortals in a row, and they have the... he runs in it again! The immortal is actually... Can't stop, one stop. There's another stun. Woo! There's a circle. Let's go for it. Yeah, they can follow up on the cocoon a little bit better by either using the wolf or Nubarak stuns to get the target locked down a bit better and get the kills there. But yeah, now that we're having another immortal taken by them and they finally have the opportunity to take a keep down, I would really love for them to just play around the cocoon a little bit more, follow the cocoon up with a potential kill, and for Jaina also to just wait with her ult until she sees an opportunity created through Sundering or stuns from Nubarak. Yeah, to just lock a target down. So as we're heading into that push, which could act like on our first map in Division S, there comes the stun, and there's a much better follow-up. Yep, there's the ancestral that saves the dog. the cocoon that saves Medivh from the Reptile. Yeah, communication is definitely a bit of a problem at this point, but they're having everybody alone. The question is, can they just finally get a kill? It's unbelievable that nobody died there. It is unbelievable. How do you manage to get everybody so low but not kill anyone? So SaW is at this point, I mean, they're pretty much in control of this game, but they are only taking the keep. It's just insane that they didn't get the kills. Pretty much Thrall saved Rhaegar with the Sundering. I mean, the Sundering connected, but it pushed Rhaegar out of anyone that could deliver the final blow and gave Rhaegar enough time to get the Ancestral through. And then after we had that, the Riptide came in and Junkrat says, well, I can't get Rhaegar anymore, but I still can kill Medivh, and then the cocoon is being used by a Nubarak to save Medivh, and half a second later it gets burned down by LiLi. So they have a lot of good attempts. They just need to be a little bit more calm during these situations. If they're a bit calmer, then they can get a lot of kills there and really get a lot of value. So far, we haven't really seen that. If I was Jaina, I would definitely also not pick Deep Chill. I mean, you really want to take Cold Snap. The amount of rings that we have now seen that have not hit because the target was in the middle was crazy. And if you get Cold Snap, you get at least something out of it. Alright, there comes the Archon, by the way. Again, the ring connects with one, but they're ignoring all the targets on the ring. Finally, we have a little bit of focus on Rhaegar, but not enough once more. Phoenix comes in now too, Riptide. There comes the Sundering. There could be a kill. The Ancestral comes through, and then we'll have to move away from this one. I think, yeah. 15 kills against 10 so far. Salvo not used from danger flame here. It's 20 versus 20 right now, but the top lane is also starting to become a bit of an issue. Here comes the immediate portal. Oh, that's 2 kills right there. Yeah, that is 2, and that could be even the 3rd. Yeah, the dog jumps in again. Yep, 2 down. LiLi down and Jaina down, just as the immortal spawns. A bit too deep, bit too aggressive, bit too hectic for that. But now, that immortal could end it all. 2 keeps down, by the way. 2 keeps have fallen. You just need to stall the game at this point. But we're 22 minutes in, so if you lose the immortal and stack a few more deaths... What is it with stuns here? Like, what is it with these circles that magically draws the attention of every Division 7 player that just says, hey, I'm gonna run into that? So, yeah. There's the poke happening again. Snazzy Penguin is trying to be as snazzy as he possibly can here, as those hits keep coming. Talking about hits, we are slowly but steadily entering the realm of Winions approaching the map. So now you want to poke a little bit more and defend than just by time. Double catapult on the core any second. A 3rd one already coming in too. Catapult block each other. Are they homing in on the core? Yep, 2 on the core and a 3rd. Now you just go there, do a little bit of work, do something, because that core keeps falling, or will keep falling. That is a problem. It's a bit of a bait, but yeah. Alright, so there's Phoenix, but the core is now down to 90. Core is down to 82. Gonna get it there eventually. No additional shot comes through. But that's a chance to fight 5 versus 4 at least for a couple of seconds. And of course, the Immortal still has to go through a fort as well. And let's not forget about the bot lane. That's a catapult right there, and the 3rd one moving in. And they have the poke. They definitely got the poke. They just need to connect with it now and burn this one down as they can. Alright, Junkrat in particular has to do that. Should be an easy defense, honestly, for SaW. if they don't screw that up too hard. And the bot lane is going to draw the attention of their opponent eventually. Thrall has already been found out, so he needs to be a little bit careful. Gets the damage in against Phoenix. Sundering as well. Not quite sure why he committed to the Sundering though. And there's the the ley line. Rhaegar against Thrall. Rhaegar against Thrall. Rhaegar against Thrall. And he takes it. Bot lane again. Catapults on the core. Phoenix moving past it. Few additional shots fired. Core is now down to 78%. Up to the top. The Immortal is still pushing on the other hand. And Thrall is down. That defense is still there. It's a 4 versus 4 now. The shields come out again as the Riptire is being used. Move away from the circles, not into the circles, away from them. Yep, there we go. And if they would have just... if they would have just moved in a little bit more aggressively with the defense, they could have definitely defended the keep too. But the keep falls. Keep goes down. There's the cocoon, a bit late maybe. And Nubarak moves back as well. And that might be the end of Junkrat. Junkrat dies. The Snazzy Penguin takes some damage, but we have the Archon value here on the side of Ernie. Bzzz. Honestly, they could get the kill against Liming. This should be a kill. But they can't. The Nubarak wasn't there. So now as it stands, we're still having an advantageous situation for SaW on the map, but obviously when you look at the kill count, it's 19 against 10. So that doesn't really bode too well for them. But it's honestly a wild game. This is a perfect example how you just need to try and coordinate a little bit better. And again, if you want to practice that, you can honestly just pick 2-3 heroes that have synergistic talents and then go into quick match or even against matches against bots, and you just practice that a little bit. You just go in and you set an Uberak up, and then you follow that up with the damage skills out of Jaina, and you try and transfer that later into your own games in the amateur leagues. That's one of the best things that you can do. I mean, pros literally have done that for a long time in HTC, where they would play in Hero League, in quick match, anywhere. They would just pick 2-3 heroes that needed to stack their damage dials together, and then they would just practice that over and over again with Li Ming, for example. Get a good Li Ming combo off. There's again the cocoon. They're going for the kill, and this time it's better. The ring again finds 0 value, but they get the kill against Rhaegar. And Rhaegar is already down. They might even get a little bit more of that. Snazzy Penguin already there. Again, also a bit of a shout out here to the level 16 talent of Thrall, which just doesn't get enough value for him without the level 4 synergy, in my opinion. If he would go Thunderstorm here, he had way more control and damage as well on that particular setup. So, as we're talking about that, bot lane has to be defended again, and that gives a head start into the objective. So this is the moment when you want to burn that down. And again, stay away from the circles. Stay away from the circles. Stay away from the circles. There we go. Alright, alright, alright. We're talking now. Yep, circles are getting dodged, and we're gonna have a halftime show that is won. Barely. That would be a bit more decisive. But yeah, so now with that said, there's another pen approach to go for a kill. Leyline is there, that's a big one. And there's the Riptire again. This time, they're trying to go for the kill once again, but also the cocoon just continues being used. Oh, starting to start an immortal kill! And Nubarak with a plays, baby! The plays are real, and Phoenix dies too. Honestly, guys, that should be game at this point. They're poking against Johanna now. They're getting the stuns out again. That is looking spicy. The ring is ready, by the way. Yep, there's an opportunity to kill Medivh. They take him down. They go for the play. Jaina is sitting on the right side, doing a little bit more damage as they're going for the dog again. The dog on the run. And they just can't get the lockdown here. The wolf also a little bit too soon, as the Iron Skin is still active, but this is looking very, very solid now for the red team. SaW is about to take a win in this game if they play their cards right here. They're bracing this down easy peasy, and of course that core has already taken 7 damage early on, and we're talking 27 minutes into the game. And that's normally an easy victory right there. With a 27-28 minute Immortal, ooh, that's difficult to defend if not impossible, but they're gonna try, of course. But yeah, this point, 70,000 damage. Medivh, top damage dealer in the team. Phoenix has not connected as many salvos as you would expect here. He's currently sitting at 47,000. 101,000 damage on Junkrat, by the way. And even Thrall is sitting at 87k here. Especially interesting considering that he does not have Crash Lightning there. Still with a poke, able to do enough. We're moving straight to the top, and that, ladies and gentlemen, should be it. Very unlikely that there's going to be a defense. There's the ring. This time again, I would say Cold Snap would still have been the better option considering the plays that we've seen so far. The burn against the Cocoon, and they're trying to make the play for Medivh, and he's down, and so is Rhaegar. The dog is dead, and the core is already falling at the same time. The Immortal still in range mode too. Gets massive value in. This thing takes 10 points off with every shot, and that is game, ladies and gentlemen. As SaW takes 1-0 lead in the best of 3 series here in Division 7 against 500 MS. Game number 2, everyone. 500 MS is down as they are heading into game number 2 on Dragonshire. Going up against SaW here on the left side. They go for LiLi this time. So they're saying, you know what, that LiLi looked strong. Let's go for LiLi as well. LiLi 100% win ratio. It can't be wrong. Drugvor on Reyna. Snazzy Penguin on Muradin. Amphethys on LiLi. We have Animist on Liming. And Danger Flame on Dehaka. And on the right side of the map, Kael on Kalthas. Kind of fits. Manarven on Junkrat. Again, Pilu on Abathur. Ooh, Abathur. Bogdoga on Garrosh. And Couscous on Maiev. That's also kind of fitting if you ask me. Going from a ranged character into a melee character seems to fit his style a little bit better, to be honest. After what we've just saw on the last map. In terms of talents on level 1, so the one thing to maybe point out is that still Force Armor is the weapon of choice here for Liming. So even on this map, not going into the globe value. There's a throw and there's a jump. Everybody just jumping around in the middle of the map. And it seems actually as we're going to see Maiev solo lane it against Dehaka. Now you can definitely do that. I'm not quite sure if that's necessarily recommended. Manarven nearly falling here on Junkrat too. But obviously you have also Abathur. And he is definitely the one who can offset the top lane. Now, Division 7 Abathurs are always a little bit weird. I'm actually curious to see what's going to happen with this one. Oftentimes we don't see the body soak that you would expect. But let's have a little bit of a look at what exactly, how this is going to pan out. Because again, this is Division 7. This is bronze to gold level that we're usually seeing here. And we already have a couple of wild heroes here. Seeing Kalthas on Dragonshire by itself, for example, is already a little bit insane. Kalthas is more so a hero that you would normally see on Inferno Shrines and maybe Tomb of the Spider Queen. Then again, obviously, the lower you go in in Heroes of the Storm from a skill perspective, the more value Kalthas gets, just simply because people are not really able to dodge out on those bombs. Dragvo, on the other hand, is dodging pretty much everything with this. Garrosh has missed the follow-up stun, and therefore I didn't see the gravity lapse connect either. So that little rotation that should have actually been a kill against Reyna turns out to not get said kill. I think Pilu is very much tempted to burrow into the middle and get the value there, but is currently enforcing the bot lane. There's the pressure play or the attempt to actually just push out Garrosh here. Top side. It's also play. We're seeing Kalthas trying to get some value mid lane together with Abathur, who's just mining everything around here. Now with level 4 talents coming in, some of the builds are definitely starting to shape up slightly. Muradin is going pretty much so for the standard with his level 4 Thunderburn. We're having Needle Spines for Abathur, so he's going to be eager to get some damage out by himself. Still the dominance for Liming as the rotation comes to the top. The drag connects with Maiev. In comes Kalthas. But Couscous is in a bit of trouble. Not locked down though. The damage comes in again. Bot lane, that's where we're seeing Garrosh making the play, trying to reclaim the shrine here. They're being thrown out already as it stands, but Junkrat is starting to be low. Shrine control claimed so far. LiLi was attempting to get the Dragonite in the middle, but couldn't. LiLi is low, and LiLi goes down. Yep, Kalthas gets the kill. Double Shrine doesn't really help them right now, and Abathur is still helping out at the top, whereas at the bot lane we're seeing Junkrat fall. As Reyna finally gets that last hit in. It's just all over the place again. Kill versus a kill, but top side, that's where Liming is fighting it out with Maiev. Maiev not jumping in on that one, I assume. And in the middle of the map, Kalthas is actually zoned out by Muradin for a second, but there's already the toxic nests in position right there, as both of the teams are still aiming for that mid lane. I mean, obviously the Dragon Knight is more so pressured by 500 MMS. They've been threatening that the entire time right now, but the the control over the mid lane has so far not faltered. They're trying to soak it against Amphithis here. That's gonna be easily a Dragon Knight at this point. You can't soak this one forever, and there we go. LiLi on an adventure again, turning into a big mighty dragon, and we don't do that. That's what you don't do. You don't just run in with a Dragon Knight in between both turrets and soak the entire shot. So guys, here, Dragon Knight one-on-one. Ideally, you wait for your own minions because they're gonna soak the turret shots. How do you do that? You have a lot of time. Look at this. There's 40 seconds still left on the Dragon Knight as the Dragon Knight goes down. 40 seconds that you could have used to just simply sit tight, use only the Dragon Breath to take your opponent's minion wave down, and allow your own minion wave to push through so that both of the turrets soak it. If you don't do that, which you should, always position yourself either here or here. Because it means that only one tower is attacking you and you can take that tower down and your Dragon Breath is going to reach both. You have a lot of time. I know that it's exciting when you have a Dragon Knight, but don't just go and YOLO it. You don't have to YOLO it. You have a lot of time available. A lot of time with that DK. Use it wisely. The only thing that they achieved is break through the wall. So they can do a lot more with that. So definitely something that if you watch this right now, if you play yourself, play either in Storm League on a lower level, or you play with an amateur team on a lower level too. That's one of the things that you need to learn for the map here. Khaldor also needs to learn that he shouldn't 1 versus 3. But yeah, so that's definitely one of the things to watch out for. If you have the objective, yes, you want to get value, but you just don't want to YOLO it in. Try and push your own minion wave into the towers, into the fort. If it's too far away, then at least position yourself at the side to limit the amount of damage that gets put onto the objective. An easy kill against LiLi. LiLi is looking for adventures, and apparently she wants to be thrown around a little bit. Whee! Higher, daddy, higher. Garrosh says, yep, okay. That's a kill right there. That's 3 kills against 2 now, with both teams being pretty close still. There's the Ruthless Spirit. Okay. Can't say I've seen that anytime recently. Also, in terms of play for Khaldor, Burn Flesh, so no Living Bomb focus, which we oftentimes see here on the level 7 talents. Well, heroics are going to be interesting for sure. I mean, there's the shot again, there's the level 10. They could actually force the fight right now. This is something, if Li Ming would have rotated towards the bottom and they would go in for this, they can force the fight around level 10 abilities while their opponents don't have heroics. That's a huge opportunity, and that's a haymaker right there. Playmaker value as they're going in for it. Li Ming still doesn't care about this down here, but that could have been potential resets for them if they made the rotation. They should still get the kill against Garrosh at least, and they do. And here comes the LiLi ult as well. Li Ming is finally in, is about to get a kill, and well, maybe not quite. Instead, Li Ming actually gets taken out. That was an opportunity to get kills if you just rotate a bit quicker than that. But they still have an opportunity to get the Dragon Knight, and that has to be appreciated. Li Ming is already going in, so it's like, woo, toxic nests, awesome. Goes in, soaks 1, soaks 2, zones all of them. Cusco is very unlikely to still follow that up with a kill, but Li Ming, of course, has to now just move back and make sure that she's at least alive for this one. Drug 4 against Mana Ven down at the bottom. Dehaka still has control over the top. And Chunk, wait, what? Junkrat just died to Reyna? How the hell did that happen? Okay, so the rat apparently a bit over-eager here, going in too deep, and yeah, just died. And Jimmy is just saying, hat man nicht, wer will nochmal? And says, okay, boys, let's go for the next one. Dragon Knight is taken as Abathur is attempting to go for an interrupt. That didn't work. There's a punt away, and now the same problem that we've seen earlier. Minion waves are here. Instead, they're running into the Dragon Knight. Now, are they going to get the fort? Probably yes. Could they play this a little bit differently? For sure. Dragon Knight gets burned down pretty quickly. And again, if you play your cards right, not only are you going to be able to take the fort in the mid lane, you're going to get a lot more than that. That's especially true if your opponent is ready for the defense. But as it stands, they get the fort, and then the Dragon Knight is very likely going to take this. Then again, we're seeing Cusco's actually in trouble again. Those playmakers are starting to do a bit of value. There comes the quick escape, and they're getting out of there. But as you can see, the Dragon Knight with 25 seconds left is burned down. So yeah, if you play this a bit slower, you can get the fort in the mid lane, and you can still rotate to another lane and try and get a bit of more damage there, or start burning this one down too. Either one. So yeah, have a bit of a look at that. And we went over this in the first one, but the thought process behind is still the same. A little bit of a tether by Couscous. God, I want food right now. It's like, seriously, can you give yourself other names? It's just like, next one comes in, pizza, doner, like, I don't know. But yeah, for now we're having the healing static, so a lot of synergy with Meridian's talents that give him now the extra survivability. Abathur value topside, and the drag, and that is a good one. Danger Flame, nicely done. Halfway down on HP now for Maiev. And let's have a quick look at the damage output, just generally speaking. Abathur far ahead here. Rast is currently still struggling a little bit. Danger Flame connects the drag again. Look at that. And Couscous is realizing that that top lane is not going to go well anytime soon. I have no idea what Drakvor is doing. I mean, yeah, if your opponent is completely blind, then they're not going to see that. But you alone should not be able to ever take your opponent's Siege Giant Camp just like that. So you have to expect that there's a combo coming. And it's honestly quite dangerous to go for that move, because if you get caught, you don't have an escape. Jimmy doesn't have an escape there. That was a bit unfortunate there for Liming as well. Nearly dying against the towers, by the way, too. Trying to, of course, get the push value out of the wave of force. That didn't work out, but for some reason Maiev seems to be a little bit eager and went in too deep and then goes down. That's where rotation is really needed, where your team has to help you out and has to say, okay guys, we're gonna move top lane now, we're gonna help with this. But at the bottom of the map, we're still having a camp taken. It's quite a bit of value here. Up to the top, there's a throw on the Haka, and that should be the end of him. Still waiting for him, trying to global out. A lot of damage used already. Gets the burrow in. Can you try and global? There's too many stuns. I'm not quite sure if you already attempted, but as you can see, there's a taunt, there's a stun, there's a gravity lap, so you shouldn't be able to get out. At that point, you're literally hoping for your opponent to just mess up and make a mistake. And not realize that you still have the global available. So either way, the Haka stayed a bit too long and gets punished for it. But with level 15, nearly 16 against 14, I mean, 500 MS is looking pretty strong here. And they have, of course, now a lot of map presence too, simply because they took down 2 forts and have catapults pushing on those 2 lanes now on top of everything else. So moving back in to get this one here. We still have a lot of sustainability now with the Soma Transference for either Maiev or also Garrosh, depending on who gets that. So they have definitely a lot of damage output. Oh, and that's a deadly Ming. Yeah, that's a deadly Ming. I'm a little bit surprised that that happened, because, I mean, you literally see him coming. So, Li Ming was pretty much saying, oh, I'm gonna get it before he reaches me. That's what the hope was there. Garrosh throws those out a bit too easily. That's gonna be a kill against Garrosh, and they should get another one, to be honest with you. They could now fully focus on Muradin. The dwarf jumps out. In comes Maiev. Walls of the Warden away. Bogdar's a little bit low as Drakvor is just taking aim, and I have no idea what Garrosh just did. I mean, trying to mount up in your opponent's face, I have no idea how they just lost this. We're losing Garrosh, they're losing Khaldor. Garrosh moves 1 second, like 1 millimeter away, and says like, this is a great place to mount. 16 was obviously ready for the opponent, so that gives them a bit of a lead, but still, that fight should not have ended the way that it did. Not after they got the initial kills. So Junkrat at least got some value at the top of the map. We're having level 16 now on both sides. The builds are actually pretty solid so far on the side of the blue team at least. We're having a few experimental moves, I want to call it, on the opponent's side. Still the adrenaline boost now as well. Garrosh is definitely going to benefit from that. And this down here, yeah, I'm not so sure. Maiev is very aggressive in these cases. Go up there, there's a lot of poke, controlling that spot already. At this point, I am just really waiting for Abathur to help out Garrosh to get the extra movement speed so that he can always get the connect. Trying to go in again. There's the throw, and there's the taunt again. Oh, Li Ming and LiLi both down, and the Penguin is gonna fall too. Yep, Snazzy Penguin is dead. I'm also not 100% certain why exactly we're every single time seeing the taunt on Garrosh, to be honest. Sorry, the copy on Garrosh, to be honest with you. I mean, you could literally just go and taunt my and copy my F a little bit. Not 100% certain why it's always that. If you want to have CC, that's definitely a tool that you could use. Okay, there's a bit of damage. There's the speed, and that should honestly be a dead Jimmy, maybe. That gets another one in. If that thing comes in, if Abathar is helping out here again, he has the speed to move in and say like, okay, let's go. But this time Reyna's actually moving away. And Maiev shows herself. Tries to reclaim this at the top lane. It is a lead so far for SaW. Keep that in mind. The red team is actually ahead. So if they take this one, it's going to be a 2-0 victory for them. So yeah, down to the bottom of the map. We're still having the minefield of good old Abathar doing his thing, who by the way has not really done a lot of soaking with his body in the game, but of course it's a little bit trickier on this map in particular. Let's walk around again. Khaldor, by the way, now that we're 14 minutes in, is about to complete his level 1 quest. The double value again. Maiev is at the bottom of the map, and Dehaka is moving in. There's the drag. There's no help from Abathar. And Junkrat in the meantime dies in the middle, as does LiMing, the copy of Abathar, which means that Maiev is not going to get any help at the bottom of the map either while all of this happens. They're trying to go for another kill here. This time it's LiLi they're aiming on. Nice damage from Khaldor this time. The ult already coming through, and there's the haymaker against Khaldor as he is trying to move out, and they nearly get the kill against LiLi, but not quite, and Jimmy just takes them down one after another. Gets the kill in against Khaldor. They're trying to make the play also for Garrosh. Don't get him, but there's another Dragonite now. LiLi again on a big adventure as she's moving in. Where is LiLi moving? Okay, mid lane. Mid lane is where we're going. And do we position ourselves on the side? Nah, we move a little bit farther down so that both of the turrets are guaranteed to hit the Dragonite. That's how we roll here in Division 7. We're gonna make those towers work. Talking about making things work, Muradin actually is working here a little bit. Penguin. He's gonna jump out. Gets actually kicked away. Haymaker into the team, and the Dragonite is immediately like, fuck off. Just punts him out. This time Garrosh is actually going all the way back to halfback here. Dehaka is already trying to, was hoping to see him there. The Dragonite obviously now 15 minutes in, also starting to be a little bit stronger, and there's minions actually soaking the shots on the keep. That Dragonite baited all the way as we see Maiev jump back. The catapults, it's still, the keep in the mid lane still gets taken out. LiLi just doesn't give a shit of what's happening around her. She just knows she's right at another keep, but just keeps hammering away right there. Oh god. LiLi with another 8 seconds, another punt, and runs straight into the trap, gets stunned, gets thrown once, do they throw her twice? They are not getting it, they're not getting the kill. It's it's Garrosh, Khaldor, Maiev and Junkrat that die instead. Fair enough. They try and go for the core here. Containment disc is actually connected with LiMing, but yeah, that was value city right there. Reyna still with 40,000 damage, top damage dealer here. LiMing has only 23,000, but it's enough to give them the win, as we are seeing game 3 popping up next. 500 MS against SaW, successful to force the 3rd map out of the series. GG and well played. Game number 3, Sky Temple, ladies and gentlemen. On the left side, we're going wild today. 500 MS with Drug War on Sul'jin. Emphasis on Rhaegar. Back to his build with the Wolfrun on level 1. We have Annie Mist on Reyna. Double the auto attacks here on the blue team. Danger Flame on Dehaka and Snazzy Penguin on Muradin. On the right side of the maps, though, we have SaW with Couscous on LiMing. Kale on Artanis, Bogdoga on Johanna, Manaven on Junkrat, and Pilu Pilu on Morales. It is a wild draft. Honestly, at this point, I'm not quite certain what to say about this one. Level 1, we still have the amateur opponent, but there's a couple of things that I'm looking at right now where I'm not 100% certain what the thought process behind it is. So let's start with the red team. every single time I see something along the lines of a Morale... Well, there's a swap. Ooh, damage it into the back line. The two auto attackers already have a little bit of pressure against them. And there's the poke too. Okay, so let's come back into this real quickly. So every single time when I see a Morales and I see it paired with heroes that are good at taking down structures, I'm immediately thinking backdoor strategy. So get on level 10, get the medivac, and then just fly in. When your opponent comes in, you can, for example, use the suppression pulls. If you have material, use sanctification. You're trying to play this with a Reyna that has Hyperion, and so on and so forth. Maybe even with a false set who can mighty gust the opponent away, and you just try and snipe keeps. So that's the first thing what you would think, but a lot of the heroes that they have in their mix don't really fit that strategy. So what I personally think happened here in the draft is that they saw that on the other side Reyna was taken, and they saw that Zul'jin got taken, and in typical Division 7 fashion of the Wood League level, they immediately were like, we need immediate blinds or we are gonna lose in a second. That's usually what happens on the lower level. Like, people horribly overestimate blinds against auto attackers. This is one of the reasons that I oftentimes hear people try and justify a LiLi pick, which is obviously borderline insane. But in this case, we have now the blinds from Johanna and we have the blinds from Matane, so without knowing the thoughts behind this, I can only imagine that's some of the reasons that they have. If that's the case, then for the future, don't do that. Altanis is, and I'm unfortunate to report this, a bad hero. He gets a bit more value on Battlefield of Eternity, but generally speaking, outside of absolute fringe cases, and no, this isn't one of them, he is a hero that is just bad in comparison to the other heroes that are available in this position. Always that little caveat out there. So the blind that he can bring on level 10 against two auto attackers does by no means, nowhere near, make up for these weaknesses. And that's a big one to really consider here. It's honestly something that especially people on a lower level have to learn, that meta exists for a reason. Yes, there are adjustments to meta that are definitely viable, but there are certain heroes that just are not played for a very valid reason at that. That being said, now that we have a double auto attack style on the other side, this is also going to become quite interesting to see how this is going to plan out for the blue team. Because, I mean, right now it depends a lot on how exactly the red team is going to try and get the damage through. Because they themselves are going to hinge very much so on Li Ming getting the resets and trying to get the kill in. But it's a bit of a wild setup, as I said before, so I'm not quite sure what exactly the strategy is going to be from the red team. If you poke with Junkrat the entire time and then you're able to get maybe the resets through last hits from Li Ming, you can definitely get the resets in and the damage. They also have the amateur opponent to later on commit to a boss. That would be pretty great. So if they try and get the value there, they might be able to do something, but it's definitely not a draft that I would recommend to copy. Rega is already in trouble on the other hand. Not the only one, to be honest with you. Ooh, nice attempt here by Li Ming. Maybe a bit aggressive, but still trying to push that out. We're seeing also at the top lane, Dehaka still taking the shrine. Artanis is moving down here too. Not quite certain why, because they were already winning the shrine, so he wasn't quite needed there, but they're just deciding that they want to take one temple and so they're 5-manning it again. I'm a little bit worried that we're going to see the same Rega build that we had the last time. Obviously, Zul'jin is going to try and get the axe out here and get his quest rewards in particular. Thanos is only on the run at the same time. Yeah, then down to the middle. Let's see, Arcanite access, by the way, now for the stacking. And now we have an even exchange. But we have at least Junkrat at the bottom of the map trying to get some extra value. Nobody is meeting that rotation for now. I would actually either expect Rega to make a rotation down there, which is a bit weird because he's still the support and should be with the rest of the team. Or Dehaka to finally make a move down there as well. Dehaka, this is another thing. Dehaka should have at the beginning of the game been at the bot lane so that he can get another wave pushed out and then tunnel top once that the shrine's activating. And now that we're looking at the second phase of the game and the objective, what Dehaka should do is find himself at the top lane again, so that when the next shrine activates is at the bot lane, he can tunnel down after getting extra value for his team topside. If the opponent keeps a hero up top to just meet him, then they have a 5 versus 4 going for them as well. So if you have a global, make sure that you use that global properly. You need to know... He dashes out and resets the camp and can now start the entire shit again from the start. Nicely done. Oh, I'm already ripping into Artanis for not getting enough value, and right now he makes it even better. Oh, gotta appreciate that. Okay. Eventually he's going to get it. So with that, we're having now Artanis taking the top camp, so they're getting some pressure there. But as I said, Dehaka needs to rotate top now. That someone needs to relieve him at the bot lane. He needs to go top. He needs to be the one that sits at the top lane later and then gets the value as the second objective spawns. It's the reason you're picking a global in the first place. So you need to learn the rotations on the objective if you play with the global and then make good use out of that. Level 10 abilities are going to be revealing quite a lot here, because I honestly want to see if we're actually seeing a Medivac setup. I can't believe that's really happening, because the setup is a little bit weird for that. But I wouldn't discount it completely here just now. So for the time being, at the top, we're having Drakvor still trying to get the stacks on his baseline together as much as he can. He's actually getting a fair amount of hits in against Artanis. A lot of hits, by the way. I mean, he's sitting at 20 right now. No swap just yet, but also gets the Arcanite access through. And there we have it. Temple gets activated. Where's Dehaka? He's at the bot lane. What's the value top side? Yes, 0. So now we're having Artanis already moving down, and who's stuck at the top? It's Zul'jin, who has to travel all the way down to the bottom. So the red team can now force a 5 versus 4 at the bottom of the map. Like, they can just literally move in, have a 5 versus 4, and be decisive around this attack now that both are on level 10. Suppression Pulse is in. They're moving in right away. There comes the Suppression Pulse. They go for Rhaegar. Don't get the kill here. Ancestral comes through. Not really a lot of synergy there, but Rhaegar falls eventually. Problem is that Morales also dies. Artanis dies as they're all stacking up on the side. And they just get wrecked. But Dehaka falls. Maybe the kill. Ooh, no. And instead, Liming dies as the Penguin and... as the Penguin and also Zul'jin start moving in. And Zul'jin is asking only once, you want Axe? And if the answer is yes, he's going to give you Axe. As we can see right here. 4 kills against 2. So, outside of the fact that the red team got lost because they had just not coordinated enough, they put themselves in a spot where they should have won that fight easily. Now, their hero picks and the way that this is playing is obviously a bit of an issue, but they had a 5 versus 4. So the blue team currently capitalized on the fact that the red team just doesn't coordinate their attacks properly. They could have gotten the kill against Rhaegar way earlier, could have gotten the reset for Liming, the attacks out of that, they were out of position with Morales. So there was definitely a lot of potential for this, and I want to highlight that again. You need to avoid that when you are using global. You want to be the team that has the lead in these situations. Now Dehaka is at the top again. That's where he should have been earlier. We have also, in terms of talents, by the way, the stim drone taken, so we're not going to see any kind of shenanigans around trying to snipe keeps, as explained before. It looks very much so like we have seen the Artanis pick simply because he wants to have the blinds in. And as you could see in the last fight, even in the 5 versus 4, that didn't help them by any means to take that particular battle. So yeah, imagine that with a different hero on the off lane that could give you more value, and you will quickly realize why Artanis in this situation is not really a good pick, as he is in pretty much no situation. So yeah, Battlefield of Eternity a little bit stronger, but at the same time you can't only rely on the amateur opponent, or in this case onto the Suppression Pulse. What you need is an Artanis that also is able to deliver on the swaps. And that's easier said than done. So yeah, 30 now on the side of 500 MS. They're a little bit ahead. It's not crazy, but they're slightly ahead thanks to them just taking those structures pecked down by taking more shrines than their opponent. Obviously, as they're starting to stack their quests, it's another big tool in their belt that they can use here too. And we're seeing more and more stacks coming in on Zul'jin on the Arcanite axis, which is a little bit worrisome to tell you the truth. Rhaegar gets caught here. I'm not quite sure what Rhaegar was just doing, because he kind of didn't realize what was happening there. But yeah, he kind of clicked somewhere on the map and then didn't pay attention anymore. That's what it looked like, at least. But he dies. Goes down, doesn't throw out the Ancestral, nothing. Blessed Shield even had to be used. Not quite sure if that was necessarily needed, but they went for it regardless. Rip Tire already coming out again, and is actually dropping Reyna to an extent here, but not getting more than that. Double Temple on the map, and still the red team trying to find the value for themselves. Stacks pretty much completed now, the quest at least, for Sol'Jin, which means that he gets the mass spins out at this point too, and has 25 stacks already on his level 7. So the damage increase for him is definitely going to come in. Haymaker again for the Penguin. Now, once more, if you're looking at this, Avatar is still way superior talent to go for, especially if you're the main tanker in that role. They're going for that. Here comes the play against Morales, haymakering her out, and the immediate focus on that. So Morales is down, and we're having at the same time Artanis still in the middle. So another typical case from where you actually find yourself in a 4 versus 5 that you don't want to fight, and then Morales gets jumped to and gets exploited, and she has no escape in this case. So at the top lane, or in the middle at least, Artanis is getting some value out of this and is grabbing one of the shrines. Question is, can he maybe push this wave out a bit more so that they get the entire fort itself? Because when we're looking at the forts, the blue team has actually done a lot better with this. And is currently in the lead when it comes to structures, at least by a bit. Here comes the attack again, and the stacks keep coming. Now, Sol'Jin so far is sitting at 35,000 damage and has the top damage in the game, and I can pretty much guarantee you that he is going to end up just getting more and more because the stacking process is just not stopping. I mean, he's literally just getting those hits in time and time again. That's not only true on his baseline, where he's currently sitting at 33, but also with 34 now on the Arcanite axis. And he's just continuing to do this. And there again, the two auto attackers should also split a little bit. They'll go for Morales again. Yeah, the punishment against Muradin, and this time Morales actually survives. So you get a bit more damage out of this, but it's still pretty even in experience. This is one of the problems that especially Muradin has right now. And I want to come back to just for a second also of talking about Artanis again. Yes. If you pick a hero that has actually CC on your offlane, every single time that Muradin jumps in to try and get the Haymaker against Morales, he should be dead. There's a Blessed Shield to greet him, there's a slow from Johanna there, and if you have an offlaner or a side laner that can actually stun him or lock him down in any way, then your damage dealers can just completely take him out. But as it stands, the amount of CC is very limited on the side of SaW, also because they're running this with Morales, not with the Tyrande, not with the Malfurion that have some kind of lockdown. So it's really tricky whenever Muradin engages for them to control him properly. Another 4 taken down. Global value now at the top of the map, and 16 talents. So of course giving them even a little bit more. In this case we're even seeing the fanaticism taken here. Top defense for now. Swap attempt. I actually haven't seen Artanis with a single swap yet. I gotta admit that a few of the fights were real quick. So I'm not sure if he got swaps out. It didn't really look like it. And I mean, Drugboar, 48 stacks already on the Arcanite axis. He's not quite playing in ARAM, but he's currently getting ARAM-like stacks together. And it's gonna get tough. It's gonna get tougher from there. And keep in mind that boss is up. So I would have not really pushed it past the red team to try and sneak the boss at some point. I like that Dehaka is actually the one that finally is at the top lane, because he can now burrow into the team fight whenever, and should do that exactly now to help them out here. Instead, they're fighting the 4 versus 5. In comes the stim drone on Artanis as they're trying to make the play. Yeah, Rhaegar is trying to jump in, and they're gonna get the kill again against Morales. Dehaka is still sitting at the top, and they're making the play for the next one. Now again, they're winning the fights, but since this is also supposed to be a little bit educational, Dehaka shouldn't be top lane anymore. Dehaka, as the fight really started up, should have moved into one of the bushes and should have tried to come in from the side to help his team out, connect the ult, and play around that. Because what the red team just lost was a 4 versus 5. And that comes down to the fact that that draft is really a little bit eh. But in any other setup, you are likely to lose this, and then what happens? You lose 2-3 heroes, Dehaka might get the entire top temple, but in the meantime your opponent takes mid temple and has the kills, can move to the boss and take it there. So you can't really afford to lose that fight in any decisive matter, so you should at this point move in with Dehaka and move through there. 8 kills against 4 now. Damage output, I mean, prepare yourself for a little bit of Sol'Jin value. He's at 47,000 at this point. Hasn't died yet. 81,000 siege damage. And again, he's just rocking the charts here. Absolutely. Already trying to set up a little bit of a party bush. The Haka could still focus, and well, there's the party animals. The Stormbolt misses. Misses the Stormbolt, but I mean, they still get the kill. But that was still precious. I mean, you see them moving in from a mile away, and then the Stormbolt doesn't even connect, but the kill is still there. And now you can go for boss if you want to. Half a level away from 20. As soon as Johanna shows topside, they should actually commit to the boss. Top, and boss is immediately getting attacked. You have a 5 versus 4, even if there's someone around. Yeah, that one is yours. And you be a little bit careful that LiMing doesn't try and outplay you. But outside of that, you're still looking solid here. And with 2 of the keeps already damaged, this is now starting to become an issue of can they go core, yes or no. With level 20 talents, there's definitely an opportunity to try and make the core play. Starting to move it again. Stim drone on Atanis once more. And LiMing, as everybody stacks, is finding the value, is finding the reset, misses the second combo though. They go for the dog, but they can't take him down. Now, if you're already drafting blinds against 2 auto attackers because you think that's super important, is gonna hard counter them, then I have a pro tip for you. Use your blinds to hit the auto attackers instead of using them on the dog. Because yes, that dog has a bit of a bite to itself too, but if you're already thinking that this is a great counterplay, which indeed it isn't, then make sure that you also hit that accordingly. Now don't get me wrong, it's not that blinds don't do anything against auto attackers. Obviously they do, but it's not what a lot of people perceive like hard counters in a rock, paper, scissor fashion. If you have that as an additional tool, it's great, but you changing your entire draft and strategy around adding an additional blind into your team and sacrificing a lot more value in that specific role just because you think a blind is going to help you, that's a problem. Which brings us back to the oftentimes picked LiLi against auto attackers. So now, with that taken, we have level 20, and the first keep is down, second keep is about to fall. 78 stacks by now on the Arcanite axis for Suljin, and they're going in again. Suljin with the damage, LiMing of course looking for the value here too. Less shield so far, not being used, and they're trying to go for the swap, but it misses again. They don't have the 20, 2 of the keeps are down, the third one is about to go down. And still the attempted plays here with Artanis. Artanis moving in and might get the kill. Oh, their coordination is there with the Riptide, and they get the kill against at least one of them. The problem is that Morales is once again in trouble, and here comes Artanis with another kill against Suljin. All of a sudden, 2 are down. There's a jump from Mirrodin into the backline as he starts to haymaker away. The heals on 1, the Stormbolt, and Morales is dead, but so is the dog. And we have now 2 versus 3. The Haka is still up at the top temple and is just like, nah, I don't care. You guys might die, but I'm gonna take the temple because it means the last keep goes down. So all 3 keeps are eliminated, and now as the Haka joins the fun, all of a sudden, having a little bit of trouble brewing again. 3 versus 2 on the map still. And obviously with every single keep gone, that also means you get another temple and you end the game. But on top of that, you also have catapults pushing everywhere. Damage output, even with Suljin dying, he's by far ahead in the damage department. 76,000 right now against 58k from Couscous on LiMing. And yeah, it's just trying to play the game over time. Like, the only thing that you have to do right now is, if you're the blue team, is you can literally in 2 minutes you can dance around the boss all day long, and then the core is going to fall eventually because catapults are pushing in. Or you can take your camps, can push the lanes out through that. You don't have to force fights. You have to at this point also look at how can I lose the game. How can the blue team lose the game? The blue team can lose the game if they're rushing into a big fight and they get wiped. And then the opponent takes the boss, takes maybe an objective, or pushes straight through a lane, takes down the keep, and ends the game right there. Because the death timers are high. So if you're the blue team, you don't necessarily want to take an even fight. You can literally just push these lanes out, wait a bit for your opponent to be forced back, and then you can push something else there. So you don't need to force fights at this point. You have time. You have all the time in the world, because those lanes are all pushing against your opponent, so play it smart. You have literally 1 temple now at the bottom, 1 at the top, so you can play around the 2 temples and force your opponent to not only try and defend 3 lanes, but at the same time also try and defend 2 of the temples, so you can split your army up a little bit. And taking the camp here definitely helps with it too, because it puts more pressure onto the top lane. And pressure at the bottom lane is already mounting up, because that's a Siege Giant camp plus 2 catapults. And we're talking nearly 20 minutes into the game. That's gonna hurt a lot. So, yeah. Them not pushing that out earlier is already a problem. So just play it safe. Can rotate someone down. Dehaka again shouldn't be here. You have a global. Dehaka shouldn't be here. He should be bot lane, playing it very safe until he sees the rest of the team and then tunnel in. Now they get the kill against Jimmy. And they're trying to make the play for the backline. That's Morales surviving, actually, at least for now. But the main fight is still continuing here. Morales still falls. Haymaker, Ancestral, all through already. Core is taking damage down to 77%, and Junkrat took care of it. But now they make the play for Johanna. She is dead, and so is Artanis. It's just a matter of seconds. Artanis is down, and that's going to be the end of the game. But again, Dehaka should have been at the bot lane before all of this started, not just now. Either way, the blue team still wins and takes the 2-1 victory against Team SaW. GG. Well played here at Division 7 of Heroes Launch.